someone at the UFC came up to me and was like, Wonderboy, it wasn't your wrestling that got you here. So I'm like, all right, point.
What up, everyone? Shaquille Mahjoudi here for CBS Sports, and you know who this is. He is the UFC's number 6th ranked welterweight contender, fighting Kevin Holland in the main event of UFC Orlando on December 3rd. Now, while his Naruto hand signs could use a little bit of work, he's a damn good fighter, and that's what matters most. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, how's it going, my man?
Doing great, man. Dude, your hand signs were on point, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
I got to
I
practice
can't,
a little bit more.
I don't know that I'm proud of that, but you had me dusting it off for the first time since like the 6th grade. So,
Oh, let's go.
a bit. How's it going, bro?
Doing good, man. I've got 3 weeks before it's go time. Weight's coming down, feeling good. Cardio's on point. I'm just itching at the bits to step back out there and compete in front of the fans in the UFC.
Yes, and it's so nice to see the UFC getting back on the road, not just for the pay-per-views, but these fight nights as well. So you got to top load them with some big names. Let's dive into it before we get to Fight Camp and all the other cool stuff you have going on. You're taking on Kevin Holland in this fight. I think for fans, it's an exciting prospect to see two strikers exchange on the feet. Different spectrums of the person on the sort of like public image, but both very much beloved by fans. In terms of the actual fight preview, what are the biggest challenges that Kevin Holland presents in this fight?
Well, he's definitely a tall opponent. He's got like an 81-inch reach, so that's going to be fun to navigate, especially during mid-fight. Always preparing for that. I got great sparring partners and with the same build that's helped me through this. But he's also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under a guy named Travis Luter, who is under Carlos Machado, who's my brother-in-law. So you got that lineage there. So I think it's pretty cool. I mean, the guy's very good everywhere. He's got a bunch of submissions underneath his record. He's got some knockouts. So, I mean, do I expect this fight to stay standing? I think so. He's not the type of guy to initiate the wrestling, but I do believe he'll probably try to get me up against the cage at some point in time. And so I got to be prepared everywhere. And he's the type of guy that kind of evolves as his fight career goes on. There's been a lot of guys out there who, you've seen him fight one time, you've seen him fight 100 times the exact same way, but he evolves. So that's going to be fun to try to adapt to mid-fight as well. So there's a lot of tough things I got to watch out for in this fight with Kevin Holland.
We've seen Wonderboy fight up the card, down the card, grapplers, strikers, well-rounded guys. When the UFC sends the contract and you hear that you're fighting a grappler or a striker, what's sort of the impulse reaction? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you draw a name like Bilal Muhammad, let's say? It's not gonna be fun for anyone. I mean, I love Bilal. It's not gonna be fun for anyone.
He's a great fighter, man. And the thing is, what always goes in my head is I want to be as exciting as possible. I want to put on a show for the fans and the UFC. And when I get somebody like Bilal or even Gilbert Burns, it's not exciting for me because I just feel like it would be a boring fight. It's just the guy shooting at your legs the whole time and just try to control you on the ground. It's not very fun. But when you got guys like Vicente Luque or Jeff Neal or George Masvidal, who's going to go out there and really put on a good fight, and of course Kevin Holland, that puts a smile on my face. I think that's really exciting for me, not just for me, but for the people watching.
Is this desire to put on an entertaining fight part of why we haven't seen maybe Wonderboy lean more and more into wrestling over the years? Obviously, you can mix it up, but I think we sort of know what we want out of a Wonderboy fight.
Exactly. The fans they want to see my style. They want to see that Wonderboy style, hands down, moving, spin kicking. I mean, I'm always constantly working on my wrestling and jiu-jitsu. But, I remember, I think it was after my 3rd fight in the UFC, I out-wrestled my opponent. It wasn't the most exciting fight, but I remember afterwards, someone at the UFC came up to me and was like, Wonderboy, it wasn't your wrestling that got you here. So I'm like, all right, point, I'm picking up what you're putting down, but that's what the fans want to see. And that's what I'm known for is my striking. So
I won't ask who dropped that memo.
Don't ask. I'm not going to throw them out there.
I got you, my man. Not trying to get anyone in trouble here. What is it? You're still in the top 10. I mean, on the very precipice of the top 5. What motivates you the most right now? Is it getting to the title? Is it putting on a show for the fans? Like, what's that thing that, is it just the nature of like competing? Like, what's the thing that gets Wonderboy up in the morning the most right now?
All what you just said. I mean, obviously, this is the title. It's going out there and competing. I love to compete. Um, I love to go out there and not just compete, but to try to, I would say, um, push myself to the limit. Like, what am I capable of? Right? How much can I get out of this fight game? How much can I further I can go skill wise or stamina wise or um, just being the best that I can be. And that's what brings it out of me is competing. So always trying to strive for the best Stephen Thompson.
You know, I always put out a little Q&A post, try and get some fan engagement involved. And sometimes I got people coming for your boy, being like, hey, you never pick my question, you never pick my question. Well, let me say to about half of you, if you would just Google and see if your question's been answered before, I wouldn't have to let you down like that. And so one of the things that came up quite a bit that I initially didn't even want to really touch was retirement. And primarily because you addressed this like after the Bilal fight. Why is everyone asking for me to retire? I'm sitting in this chair. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling healthy. I'm feeling young. Wonder Boy, true to the name. So I wanted to frame it like this, just for the sake of giving those people some information. For you, what are some signs 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now that may have you considering retirement? Is it how your body's feeling? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are some of the signs that
Yeah.
you're looking out for when they eventually come?
I think that's probably number one is how my body is feeling.
Mm.
And not taking, and thank goodness I haven't. I don't take a lot of punishment in the fight game. I've been knocked out one time my entire career, my entire fight career with kickboxing and MMA combined. And I remember after that, people were already saying, "Oh, you need to retire." I'm like, "What?" If I'm getting knocked out consistently, then we'll think about it. But that taking punishment is a big thing, and I don't take a lot of punishment. But also on how my body's feeling and how my recovery is. If I'm having a hard time recovering after a training session and it's just getting to the point where I can't get up the next day, then maybe that's a sign. But as of right now, the way that, I'm taking care of my body, I'm doing my physical therapy, keeping up with massage, ice baths, and just my, spending more time on that, I'm feeling better than ever.
Well,
So as long as that I'm feeling healthy and not taking too much punishment, I'm going to continue to do what I do. And I listen to my coach. My dad has been a part of my camp since day one. And he probably knows me more than I know myself. And me being a fighter, I want to keep fighting. And we'll ignore sometimes the fact that maybe we shouldn't. So when he says I'm done, I'm done.
okay, I like that. I like the trust there, and the bond that's been built. And to your credit, I remember I think the first time you and I ever connected was for another publication. It was after the Anthony Pettis fight, and you took a long time. You were like, I'm gonna get right back in there. You prioritized your health, made sure you're in a good place, and so I'm glad to see that trend continue. Let's talk a little bit about Fight Camp. You've got this 4-week program. We see you on your Instagram. You're always working with the kids. You're training others. Now you're training basically everyone. So it's basically a 4-week program where you kind of lead
Yeah.
fans, students, whatever you want to label them, through a fight camp and what it's like to be Wonder Boy. Can you tell me a little bit about what people are going to get out of this?
This is really cool, and it worked at a perfect time. I mean, the program dropped on November 7th on the Fight Camp app. It's actually 4 weeks ahead of my upcoming fight with Holland, so parallels with my training. Users can actually start the program at any time. So I mean, it's an app that you can download. It's really cool. Over the course of the 4-week program, I work with Fight Camp members, on basic martial arts, kicking skills, inform, conditioning, strength conditioning, and of course, bag work. So, and these guys, and it's stuff that I actually do in my fight camp. So not only are they getting the skills, but it's stuff that I actually put and get out of my fight camp, and they can go through the fight camp with me, which I think is super, super cool. There's nothing out there like that at this point. There's nothing out there, quite like fight camp.
Boom, and link in the bio for any of you guys interested in getting involved. Outside of the UFC purview, you linked up with Karate Combat, doing some broadcast work with them. Shout out to Alex Wendling, one of my favorite people in this industry. What an awesome person Alex is. One of the Q&A questions that I had come up is I imagine it can't really happen with the UFC being involved, but if that UFC chapter were to ever close, are you at all interested in taking some sort of karate exhibition fight, maybe against another famous face like a Lyoto Machida or George St. Pierre, were some of the names mentioned?
I think that would be pretty cool. I mean, Lyoto Machida, I don't know. I've sparred with him before. That dude's a big dude. He's a monster of a guy. He doesn't look it, but when I stand next to him, I'm like, nah, you know what I mean? But you know, what actually does more damage to my body is the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu. I feel like I can strike forever. You know, I love doing it. I feel like I could do this till I'm 50 years old. If it was just kickboxing or something like Karate Combat, I could do for you know, forever. And hopefully it's later than sooner. But if that does actually, come to a close with the UFC, I might look for something like that in Karate Combat and might want to compete in something like that. So I feel like I could do that forever.
Would there be a dream matchup that makes sense for you to sort of?
Oh man, a dream matchup. Huh. I don't know, man. There are a lot of guys in Karate Combat at this point that are just so good. Of course, they just signed Raymond Daniels, who is 42, I believe. He's a few years older than me, but he's still crushing it. And he kind of got away from MMA and went to the Karate Combat scene and is doing well. He's had one fight and he crushed it. Of course, you got guys out there who come from that Kumite style, Olympic silver, gold medalists as well, competing in Karate Combat. Any one of those guys would be fun. Any one of those guys would be. Gabriel Varga, who also is got his own YouTube channel as well, competed as well. He's exciting to watch. It's just so many exciting. I think karate style is just very entertaining. I think it's very fun. The timing, the movement, the precision, it's just there, and that's what makes that Karate Combat just exciting.
Listen, candidly, I don't know how much steam Dana White's Power Slap League has, but Karate Combat, I think, has been like a surprise sleeper hit of a success. So I'm so glad to see it thriving. You're a social media savvy guy, so as we wrap up here, I'm gonna need you to help me real quick, okay?
Got it.
I got a YouTube short in mind, so we got to keep this a minute or under. But I would like your top 5 karate fighters in MMA. Maybe like a sentence or two breaking it down, but I got to time you on this one, Wonderboy, because you're doing me a solid.
Okay. So you me give you my top 5?
Yes.
Oh man, I don't know if they're actually karate styles, but definitely I would say. And does it have to be in the UFC, or could it be just MMA period?
MMA is fine as long as they've had an MMA fight.
The top of the list has to be MVP Michael Page Venom. I think he comes from that point fighting background. He's competed a lot against Raymond Daniels, who's one of the top point fighters and obviously best strikers out there. He's fought for glory. But Michael Page Venom is definitely at the top of the list. His movement, his charisma out there, he's just very exciting to watch. And he's so fast. He's so fast. So he's definitely at the top of the list. I would say Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson is kind of a sleeper when it comes to the karate, because normally he uses his karate movement and blitzes to get his opponents to the ground, and he uses his jiu-jitsu to finish. But he's got great karate skills. You can tell it in his karate stance. So Gunnar Nelson is great. George St. Pierre, he was more of a Shotokan karate stylist. I think he had a little bit of some Kyokushin. I'm not sure, but I know it's Shotokan, and you saw that a little bit out there. Obviously, Robert Whitaker has another karate stylist. He did some karate in the past, but you can see it, little hints of it in his movement and his striking, especially when he fights with the 185 division. He's using more of his striking to his advantage. Lyoto Machida, he was my inspiration. Lyoto Machida was my inspiration to switch from kickboxing to mixed martial arts, because I saw his success in the UFC, former UFC champion. And I'm like, dude, that guy's a karate guy. And people were thinking karate doesn't work. But here's a guy that's making it work in MMA. So definitely he's at the top of the list.
Thank you for doing that, Wonderboy. What a list. Last thing before I let you go here, because you've been so gracious with your time, and apologies to whoever's asked me to get Wonderboy to react to two people fighting Muay Thai in a phone booth, in a literal phone booth. I will show him that next time. Last thing I want to end you here with, you mentioned how you're kind of jealous of your opponent, Kevin Holland, because he's out here on the regular in between fights with his superheroic deeds, right? He's pulling people out of burning vehicles and stopping muggers, and I think someone with a gun at some point, I think. Like, this guy is living the Wonderboy dream. So I want to give you the chance to create your own Wonderboy superhero. So I've got like a little mini choose your own adventure here for you, okay? We'll see if this is a
okay.
List. All right. So, origin story, first and foremost. I got 3 options for you. Keep it simple. You're either a straight and narrow UFC fighter who wants to use his powers for good. Option 2, you've got split personalities, a result of either your unaddressed childhood trauma or near fatal dose of super soldier syndrome, serum, take your pick, that manifests in the form of a violent and brooding vigilante. So you got the good guy and the bad guy. Or you were sprayed by a radioactive octopus that turned you into the ultimate 8-limbed karate machine.
Okay, the first one sounds really cliche. Like when you think of Stephen Thompson, you think number 1. The third one, I'm like, I don't know if I want to be an octopus. The second one, I think, is definitely the go-to for this one, especially when it comes to a superhero, origin story. Split personality, here's Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, nice, always smiling, blah, blah, blah. But then when something happens, he switches over to this, like you said, this violent vigilante. That's it. Number 2.
I got that. Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page here. Do you undergo an obvious but technically secret identity like Clark Kent with his glasses on and off, or are you coming out to the public as who you really are?
Oh, man, I think I would be secretive.
Good call.
To be a superhero 24/7 would be kind of rough. You know what I mean? Look what happened with Spider-Man, his last movie when it came out. Everybody was after him. I mean, he had people at his door, constantly. So I think the to have that secret identity would be there.
Work-life balance is important no matter what field you're in. Every hero needs a villain. Which combat sports fighter is the Joker to your Batman or Lex Luthor to your Superman?
Oh, man. What athlete?
Yeah.
Oh, man. It has to be another fighter. It's got to be. So I would say Nate Diaz.
Well, he's out here slapping people in the streets on the regular.
I know,
you
dude.
Can step out onto the sidewalk and find the guy.
I've always been a fan of Nate Diaz, but he just looks like just like a villain, man. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I would say Nate Diaz would be it. We're
going to clip that one and get you in trouble, but it's okay. Who are your combat sports Avengers? I want your Iron Man, your Hulk, your Thor, and Black Widow. We're going to cast you as Captain America just for the sake of.
Got to. Okay, my Hulk would be Francis Ngannou. I mean, got to. Yeah. You got to pick that dude, to be your Hulk. My Iron Man, I would say technician, intelligent, smart fighter. I'm going to pick, he's retired now, but Rory McDonald.
Yeah. Oh.
I think he's a very smart fighter. Kind of like a serial killer type vibe in his personality. Yeah. But he's going to be my Iron Man. The Hulk is going to be, obviously, Francis Ngannou. And what was the other one?
Thor and Black Widow.
Ooh, okay. Black Widow. Oh, Black Widow is going to be Holly Holmes. She's going to be my Black Widow.
All right.
You're like,
The right answer is Valentina Shevchenko, but I'll let it.
Champions or anything.
The right answer is Valentina Shevchenko, but it's your list.
Yeah, okay. I like that too. Valentina's it, dude. Oh, that's true because she's Russian. Duh.
Yeah, and she shoots guns. She shoots guns.
Like, Valentina. Yeah. She's my answer. That was a good one. Thank you. Okay. And then my Thor. My Thor has got to be, who reminds you of freaking Thor? What's his name? He just beat Glover Teixeira.
Yuri Prohaska.
Prohaska.
That's a good answer.
Yuri.
I tend to gravitate towards Jan Blachowicz because of the whole
I was thinking Blachowicz as well.
yeah, Polish power thing, but
Yeah, I
I
was
like
thinking
Yuri. I feel like
Blachowicz.
that's, and he's got the whole like air
Yeah, like the
vibe
man
going.
bun, right? He looks kind of Viking-ish.
Yes, sir. Okay, last one. I promise this will be at Wonderboy. Got to round out the superhero thing. When it is time for Wonderboy to retire, finally, one day, I know we've been waiting for it for decades at this point, but once he finally graduates from the young Wonderboy to a grizzled veteran Wonder Man, which combat sports fighter do you take under your wing as the next Wonderboy?
Oh man. Now, do they have to be in the UFC?
Nah, whatever, man.
Or could be just anybody. Okay. Who would I take under my wing? I mean, at this point, let me see. I have no idea. I need some help here.
I mean, this is a dig. I feel like Chase Hooper could use some help and also has kind of the white meat.
Well, I was about to say
vibe.
Chase Hooper.
Yeah.
I was about to say Chase Hooper, but
and
he's more of a
his jiu-jitsu is good. It's the striking that needs
It's his striking that needs help. And he's young.
Yeah.
And he's young. So that was kind of like, that was going to say Chase Hooper, but he was already in the UFC. I was trying to think of somebody outside of that, but you guys wouldn't know who he is. But Chase Hooper, I like that one. Chase Hooper would definitely be good because he's kind of got the same body style as well. Kind of tall, lanky. But if I can get his striking down, along with his jiu-jitsu, the kid's going to be unstoppable.
A killer. I love it.
Yeah, he'll be a killer. And he's got long legs, got great kicks, man. We got to get him kicking fools in the head.
Really, what we need to make a movie or comic book because we just painted the origin story all the way to the end. So thank you for going through that with me, Stephen.
Anytime, man.
All
Anytime.
right,
you need some help, I'm here for you,
Yes,
bro.
sir. Okay. I would like to leave you with the last word, so let me do my part very quickly. Guys, thank you so much for checking out the video. If you're still here, you know what you got to do. Subscribe, notification bell, thumbs up. Let us know in the comment section what is your official prediction for Wonderboy versus Kevin Holland at UFC Orlando on December 3rd. Also, give me your Avengers of the UFC. I'd like to see your picks for Thor, Hulk, Iron Man, Captain America, and Black Widow. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, if it's Fight Camp or anything else that you want to talk about, the floor is yours, my man.
First off, guys, you have to go download the Fight Camp app. Come join me in my progression 4-week Fight Camp video. We'll be doing kickboxing training, sparring, bag work, strength and conditioning. It is amazing. Go check it out. And Kevin Holland is coming up December 3rd. I always visualize my hand being raised after the fight. I don't predict any knockouts, just my hand being raised. I'm ready for a 5-minute round war, and it's going to be exciting. So check that out as well. Thank you, my brother, for having me on. Always a pleasure.